Well, we're back, and I'm excited. Why you bobbing and weaving like you dancing to a song or something?
Because I am in my head. In my head.
In her head. Y'all, listen. We're gonna get right into this. I am really excited about what we're going to talk about. So, Cherie, really quickly, a lot of people who come to Panama will often look at the news and they'll say, hey, there are certain places in Panama that you do not want to go to because it is not safe. And we want to kind of bring some reality to this particular subject. And we're going to talk about an experience we had this past weekend where we got a chance to experience, and we've been to Colón a gazillion times, but this was the first time that we experienced this. Are y'all ready? If y'all are ready, do me a favor, put me in the chat. Baby, you ready?
Me.
Y'all be good. Stay tuned. Go get your coffee and let somebody know that we're back. It's breakfast. I'm not breakfast. Here we go.
Behind closed doors with the Brooks.
I can't get my titles right. We'll be back right after this.
We are back.
We're
back. We're tired.
I'm exhausted.
Estamos cansados.
Sí.
We are tired.
We are tired. But we're going to do what we got to do. If you're here and you're tuning in for the very first time, put first time in the chat. Put first time in the chat. Welcome to Behind Closed Doors with the Brookses. I am Glenn P. Brooks Jr. I'm an author. I'm a speaker. I'm a husband of this one. I'm a pastor. And we are excited to do all the things. Cherie, please introduce yourself.
Yes, I'm Cherie A. Brooks Jr., author, speaker, relationship coach, and co-pastor. And I am pleased to be here to share some important information with you guys today. We had an exceptional experience recently that was very different from things that we've done before. For those of you that have been watching the channel, you know that we've been living here in Panama now a little over 2 years, and we've gotten around a little bit. We've been to a couple places. One place that we've visited several times has been the city of Colón, which is on the northern coast of Panama, which is where more of the African diaspora is located here in Panama. There's a large Caribbean community there, Hispanic Caribbean community there. So it's a lot more black and brown people on that side of the country, and we've been there several times before, but this time we experienced something we've never done before. We typically go to the beach, enjoy all the little touristy things, but we actually got to mingle with the people.
So just for clarity, the northern side of the country actually is the Atlantic coast. Panama City is on the Pacific side of the country. And so Colón is the opposite side of the country. Think of the Panama Canal. There's an entrance on the Pacific. It ends on the Atlantic and vice versa. You can come in through the Atlantic and end up here in Panama City on the Pacific. Time-wise, about a 45-minute drive from city to city. Obviously, if you're going to go out to the coast, it's probably going to take you another 45, 50, maybe an hour, depending on where on the coast that you're going. And that's what Cherie's talking about. So we've done all the beachy things. We've taken people out. Last February, I think it was, we took a group out from our Reignite experience, and we did all the things. Went to Isla Grande, went to Portobello, went to see if you've ever seen the Black Christ, and there's a church that kind of gives in a history behind that, all of those kinds of things. But this was the first time that we actually had a chance to be escorted by a Panamanian who is from Colón and spend time in the city, really getting a chance to know the people. And I'm gonna tell you, Cherie, for all the people who read things and they say this and the media says that, I can tell you, we found that place to be so warm and welcoming, like it was just hard to see what they be seeing. And I'm not saying that there's not stuff, you know what I'm saying? There is things going on in Colón that, quite frankly, you definitely want to keep your head on a swivel to some degree, but it is by far a place where you just don't want to go. I promise you.
Right. So Colón is a land that's been left to itself, is I guess the best way to put it. It is somewhat, it appears to be an impoverished area. There are a lot of rundown homes, a lot of rundown properties there. That's because the government doesn't put the money into the city, into that area. And that's a whole another conversation why they don't do that. Because Colón, the port of Colón, is where the majority, there's a large majority of the shipping that comes into Panama comes in through Colón. So there are cruise ports there. There's the docks where they bring in the actual things from the ships. The shipyards are there. So there's money in the city, in the area, I keep saying city, in the town of Colón, in the township of Colón. So there's money there, but it's not being put back into the community. So with that comes, some poverty. And so there are some areas that definitely on the look side, they're not the most pretty because they're run down, they're not taken care of. Now, because of poverty, yes, there is some crime in Colón. There are some gang activities and things like that in Colón. But what I will say is that unless you go looking for trouble, nobody is bothering you. That's been our experience. Now, other people may have had another experience. And we've been, like I said, we've been to Colón several times, walked through the city, been in different areas in the city, and have never had any negative encounters whatsoever. So for us, that's been our experience. Now, if you've had another experience, that's your experience. But from what we've seen and from the people that we've talked to that we know that have gone there, we don't know anybody that's had a negative experience when going to visit there. But like Glenn said, this experience was very different. Like I said before, typically we go to the tourist spots, we go to the beach, we go to the cruise port, we may go to the free trade zone, but we hadn't really interacted with the people of Colón until this past Sunday.
So I just want to say shout out to Team Aller, Kathy and Lou. They're in the stream with us live today. They went with us. And just a quick backstory. So I get my hair cut over in Rio Abajo, and my guy, Ernesto, is my barber. He is from Colón. And for the last, I don't know, year and a half maybe, I've been going to his shop, and we consistently talk about a lot of things, the political climate in Panama, how things work, why they work that way. Because he's Panamanian, obviously, he speaks Spanish, but he also speaks English. He spent a little time in the U.S. He has brothers and sisters. He has a daughter that lives in the U.S. But he also is from that area. And so what you will find on that side of the city in the Rio Bajo is the fact that a lot of folks migrated from the Caribbean. And so you will find people who, they look like me, just as dark as I am, speak some no English, but when they speak Spanish, it has this sort of patois kind of a flavor and accent, and it's kind of wild because sitting in the barbershop, I can promise you it's a whole experience because I'm just sitting there kind of getting my head shaved, and it's like, this is wild. And I love it because it feels like home. You can feel the barbershop banter. So Ernesto is a minister. He has invited us to his church on a number of occasions, and it just so happened that the timing worked out where Kathy and Lou were in town visiting. They're part of our Breakfast and the Word community. They live in New York, work in New York, all the things, but they were visiting. Kathy is actually Panamanian. Her roots go to Colón. And so what was, and I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it, what was crazy is to go escorted by a Panamanian with a Panamanian who did not grow up there, and watch Kathy ooh and ah about the places and the streets that her grandmother talked about and all the things, and for her to do some tracing, of her roots in a lot of ways. But the warmth, Cherie, I gotta say that when we walked into this church, y'all, it felt like home. Now I have to caution you, we don't speak Spanish like that. We understand a lot more than we used to, and if I hear you good enough and you're speaking slow enough, I'm probably going to pick up a lot of what you're saying. But Ernesto was there to be able to translate, and Kathy speaks Spanish well enough to be able to also help translate. So Cherie, was that not a trip or what?
Yes, it was an amazing experience. So the church that we visited, because I know you guys are like, well, what church? It is Iglesia de Dios, which means Church of God, and it's in the province of Colón. The pastors of the church are Horacio and Marva Sprague.
In Espanol.
It's an evangelical church. It reminded us, if you've been to any evangelical black evangelical church in the States, it very much had the same feel.
Yeah. A lot of, if I can just interject, a lot of Pentecostal vibes. Mm-hmm. So the music was a vibe. The preaching was a vibe. The people talking back and forth to the preacher was a vibe. The dancing and the praise dances. Boy, that was a whole show.
Yeah, they had the praise dancers at the beginning of praise and worship that came out and did their dance. They did I don't remember the song, but one thing that really blessed me was a lot of the songs that they actually sang, although they were singing in Spanish, were Christian songs that we knew. So we knew the beat, and so we knew what they were saying in English, although they were saying it in Spanish. And also they had, this is not some little rinky-dink church. Let me say this. They are up on tech as far as Panamanians are up on tech. They on the screens, they had the words going across for the songs so that you could follow along. They had cameras all throughout. The praise team was amazing. The two young ladies that they had singing, beautiful voices. Their band, when we walked in, the band was playing. We was like, oh, shoot, they got real musicians in here.
All right now.
So we really felt at home. It felt like we had walked into any church, back in the States. The people were very welcoming. From the time we walked out the parking lot to the front of the church, people were coming up to us, introducing themselves to us, speaking a whole lot of Spanish, and we're like, don't know, okay,
no
buenas. But they were very welcoming, and they embraced us from the moment we walked up. They escorted us and seated us together. Like I said, Kathy and Lou were with us, and so this was a great experience for them as well. But I know I felt at home. I felt like I was although I could not understand every word of what was being said, I understood the tenor. I understood the spirit that was in the place.
Yeah, and Kathy and Lou, by the way, I know you guys are in the stream today on the chat. You guys just kind of got settled in another spot here. I just love it. They've been here for the last 3 weeks. I can't wait to see you guys again on Saturday for our first Saturday event. If you are here in Panama at all, in Panama City, every Saturday morning we meet for fellowship. The Breakfast in the Word community kind of hosts a gospel brunch that really turns into this, I got you, babe, that really turns into a entire expat travelers kind of a networking thing. And so even if you're not a part of our Breakfast in the Word community, absolutely come on by. One thing before I go to you, Cherie, Lou and Kathy, if you guys can, and I appreciate that, Lou, I'm going to put it up on the screen. Let's talk about y'all's experience as well, because it was just so dope having you guys there.
So yes, I just wanted to clarify what Glenn was just sharing as far as first Saturday. That's not every Saturday. It's the first Saturday. No, you said every Saturday.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So every first Saturday of the month, we meet in person at Mika's Cafe in San Francisco. So if you're here in Panama, please come out and join us. It's from 10:30 to 12 noon every first Saturday at Mika's Cafe. We also host, our community, the Breakfast in the Word community, hosts meetups in the States, in different regions where there are groups of people that are in our community. They'll get together as well. If you're interested in learning about the Breakfast in the Word community, the link will be in the description at the completion of this live. And so you'll be able to jump in and register to become a part of that community so that you can join us on every other week other than the first Saturday. We do a virtual Bible study type thing. It's an interactive Bible study service that we do every Saturday morning, except for first Saturdays when we meet in person.
So speaking of First Saturdays, I want to shout out James Rodriguez, who is the owner of Mika. He's the CEO of Mika's. And thanks for the super chat, James. I appreciate you, bro. James is an amazing human being. He relocated here to Panama, I think 13, 14 years ago now. He is originally from Harlem, Puerto Rican by descent. Didn't learn Spanish until he moved to Panama. So he knew, the New Yorican Spanish, right? And like, getting around in the streets. But it wasn't until he moved here to Panama and took a job and took an opportunity and later became the CEO of a restaurant chain here. So we meet at his restaurant in San Francisco, and it's a super, super dope partnership. He's a member of the Breakfast in the Word community, so he's not just somebody who's doing a good thing. This is where he gets fed every Saturday morning. Let's go back really quickly. Some of our experiences in Colón when we were there, babe. Come on, talk to us.
So one thing, while we were there in church service, like Glenn and I both have shared, it's a Spanish-speaking church. And so the lesson, they had a guest speaker, number one. Great speaker, and we still have to
celebrating 90 years.
They're celebrating their 90-year anniversary, so they've been having a series of guest speakers come through and teach. And so one thing that was one concern that I always had with visiting a Spanish-speaking church was I going to be able to understand? Would there be translation services available and so forth? And so the pastor, she had offered to get us translators, but like Glenn said, Ernesto was able to sit by Glenn and he translated for him, and Kathy helped me a lot. But also I was able to use my Google Translate app, and I turned it on conversation, and so it was recording and pulling in and showing me. I had to read it, but it was giving me what the speaker was talking about, and it was pretty accurate, if I can be honest. I was able to follow along and understand the gist of what was going on, what he was talking about during the teaching. And like I said, Kathy was there to assist me, and because she was watching my phone, seeing what it was saying, making sure it wasn't saying nothing crazy, and she was able to kind of fill in the blanks for me. And so there are ways that you can get around attending a Spanish-speaking service, even if you don't speak the language, so you can still, understand what's being said. And so I don't want people to feel like, I'm thinking of moving to Panama, or I'm coming to Panama, I want to go to a physical church service, but I don't speak the language. Don't let that be a barrier, because there are ways that you can get around that. There's technology, there are headphones, there are a lot of things that you can use that, and you can always ask them, do they have a translator, somebody that can sit with you and translate during the service? And so for me, many of you know we started Breakfast in the Word because we were not able to find a community here in Panama City that we felt at home, that we felt was our vibe. And those of you that go to church, there's a vibe. You feel like you're connected when you go visit a certain church. And so that's why we started our community online. Now, Colón, it's only a 45-minute trip, but that's like a day trip. I'm going to be honest with you. You don't just go out there and then come right back. And so that's not something, excuse me, that we'll probably do every Sunday. We may go visit again periodically, but that's a hike to have to go to service. And so, but it's an amazing experience. If you're ever here in the city, if you're ever here in Panama, I definitely think you should try to visit a service just to get a feel. Now, you're going to have to do some research and find one that's your vibe, because that's going to make a big difference. Because if you go and it's just not your whole vibe, and then you're struggling with the language, it's not going to be a pleasant experience. So we got really blessed. Ernesto, because Glenn has a relationship with him, because he's been getting his haircut, he kind of knew already that this was going to be our type of service that we would enjoy.
Yeah, speaking of Ernesto, one of the things that we found out that was so dope was that the persons that were coming with us, Kathy and Lou Aller, who were visiting from New York and in the States, they're part of our Breakfast in the Word community. We originally met them once earlier this year when we went back to the States for our daughter's graduation. She was able to graduate with her doctorate degree, and it was a super exciting moment for our family. So while we were there back in the States, we just hosted a First Saturday event and found a restaurant and just decided to ask anybody who was in the Breakfast in the Word community, if you guys wanted to come through and meet us, this is where we're going to be. Kathy and Lou Aller drove down to Maryland from New York. Y'all, I was blown away. And they weren't the only ones that drove that far. And it goes to speak to how community driven our community is. They are, and a bunch of other people who are from the region all came, and just the love in that room on that Saturday morning was unreal. So we knew then that they were going to be coming back in August to visit and do some scouting. They're going to be retiring here at some point. And so I just thought it was wild. Here's what was even wilder. I invited Lou to come get his haircut when I went and got my haircut last Thursday. So for those that don't know, my haircut day is on Thursdays. After this live, I will hop right on over to Ernesto and sit and chop it up, and he'll cut my hair. I invited Lou last week, and Kathy came, Cherie came. We made it the whole thing, and they got together only to figure out, y'all, that they were distant cousins. Like, it's crazy. And you have to understand, Colón is tiny, especially relative to Panama City. It's a very small city, town. It probably bad word to call it a city because it's not big at all. And Kathy put it right in the chat. I was so blessed by traveling to Colón with Ernesto and Glenn and Cherie. I love being able to get to know Ernesto. I found out we were actually distant cousins. No, it was absolutely fire. And I'm telling you right now, it was something to be seen. So Honor Day, I appreciate you. Thank you so much. It was good to see you. And I'm telling y'all, this is what it's all about. So here's one of the things I want to co-sign on something Cherie said. Can you guys do yourselves a favor and not believe every single thing you see and or hear? And I know I don't have to tell some people that, but encourage yourself to dispel that by coming and seeing for yourself.
Right.
It's one thing to see something on a video. It's another thing to hear somebody report on it. It's another thing to experience it from somebody else's vantage point, i.e. y'all are listening to us talk about it. But to come yourself and to experience something like this, it's game changing. And so whether you're looking to move here or whatever the case may be, I'm telling you right now, it's a whole situation. Lou just put it in the chat. Haven't been shaved that close in a while. Y'all, Ernesto had that boy looking good. I'm sitting here looking at your picture, Lou, and I'm saying to myself, the three Ball brothers is representing right here, Cherie. What you got?
Yeah, it's funny. After Lou got shaved, now Lou looks young anyway, but after he got shaved,
He looked like he was 10.
and I'm gonna talk about this a little more because after we left church, we went to eat, and somebody actually thought Lou was Kathy's son. So yeah, so the shave was really close because it shaved a couple years off of him too. So to go back to, so we enjoyed service,
and Kathy looked like she in middle school. So
Right,
like it
right.
was like two
They're
babies
kids.
was coming in there. That was crazy.
Right. So another great thing about us going to visit this church, now we talked about Kathy and Ernesto connecting at the barbershop and realized they were distant cousins. She also was able to meet a woman at the church service when we were at church that actually grew up in the neighborhood that her family grew up in Colón. And so she was able to make another connection, and she's been making those connections since she's been here in Panama. And so that was really amazing that, we're sitting there in service, and it was actually one of the dancers, and Ernesto was like, she's from the neighborhood that your grandmother is from, and they were able to talk after service and connect. And like Glenn said, Colón, Panama itself is a very small country. And so if you have family from here, if you're from here, it's very likely, think about like in the country back in the States, if you're from a small town, everybody related in some way, shape, or form. Somebody knows somebody, was connected to somebody, they was married, something. Right. And so it's like that here in Panama. So it was really great getting to see Kathy reconnect with people or connect with new people that she, possibly has some relation to as she's come back to her family's homeland. And so for me, it always is a pleasure to spend time with people that are Panamanian. And so Ernesto is from Colón. He lives in the city. He lived in the States for a few years, but he's back here in country, and getting to hear the perspective from somebody that's from here can be interesting. And so with that interesting thing, because Ernesto lives in the city, he doesn't drive. So
You ain't gonna put him on that song. I am not gonna let her
gonna
throw my guy. No.
If we gonna tell the truth, we're gonna tell the whole truth.
No.
I'm not gonna throw him under. I'm just gonna tell what happened.
That is terrible.
What had happened was, so we, Glenn had planned this trip for us to go. And when I say planned, him and Ernesto was like,
Give me
ooh.
1 second, babe. David Ford, I just want to let you know, welcome to the room. I needed to break up the flow of the disrespect. And I just want to let everybody know that, my guy, I'm riding for my guy. He did the best he could with what he had. Please continue, Sheree.
So it ain't just on him. So like I said, what planning means for Glenn is him and Ernesto had a conversation. Ooh, y'all should come to the church on Sunday.
Uh-oh.
We gonna leave it this time. That's all the conversation that's been had.
It comes around to being about me.
So ain't nobody talked about,
I dropped the ball.
Do we know how to get there?
Y'all, Sheree was about to come unglued.
So Lou and Kathy come pick us up. We go pick up Ernesto. Ernesto gets in the car. We start driving. Lou's allowing Ernesto to direct us. It seems a little janky for a minute. It's like, we seem like we going around in circles. Okay. And I'm like, well, you can pull it up on your app. He's like, no, well, Ernesto's directing us. So let me just say about 20 minutes into the ride, we going to the other side of the country, away from Colón.
Well, to Ernesto's credit, Lou just jumped in and he added that it wasn't.
Yeah, you made a couple of wrong turns by direction, but the point is, no one
Oh Jesus!
asked Ernesto, hey,
have you
ever driven to Colón?
Why would I ask
Ernesto? Because we're in Panama. Everybody doesn't drive.
I get it, but I didn't think about that.
Ernesto catches the bus to Colón, or he rides with somebody else. He doesn't drive. So when you're giving somebody directions, if you don't drive, how do you give somebody directions?
Listen.
Help me!
I understand your angst. But what we're not going to do is we're not going to be on the Ernesto bandwagon hating over here.
No, I'm not hating. The question should have been asked. And so this was my fault because I let him plan this.
Got it.
Instead of me, because I was like, I'm going to take my hands off. I'm going to let you plan this little thing. And I didn't intervene. I didn't ask the hard questions.
No, you didn't. And
on
I
the front
appreciate
end.
that.
And so we took the very scenic route.
So how about this?
To get to
I could have done a much better job of communicating on the front end, getting all the planners in the room. When I first heard, and guys, you just got to understand, we've been talking about this for months. It just never presented itself. So when it did, it did. And I was like, yo, let's go. Kathy and Lou in town. Let's get it. Sheree normally does a good job of heading me off at the pass. And she'll stop me and be like, yo, what's the details? This didn't happen probably for about 24 hours prior to maybe. And I noticed that my wife was coming. If you know anything about my wife, she is highly analytical. She is super detailed oriented. She is a leader. So she's going to go, whether you going or not, she is going to make it happen. She's a Marine and she's from Southeast DC. And she has battled with depression and anxiety most of her adult life. So if you put all them into a package where your boy didn't communicate effectively on the front end in enough time for her to make the adjustment, I can say this, babe, you did a great job of masking all of the things. I have to give you an offering on it. Like I'm gonna have to buy you lunch. What can I do for you? You know what I'm saying? Because this is a good moment for her to get on the cussing ministry. You know what I'm saying? And just, it was a whole situation, y'all. But listen, nobody got their panties in the bunch in terms of outwardly. Ernesto was able to say, and I am a terrible tour guide. I apologize and all that. Why are we giving you guys all of this crazy banter? Because it was an absolute adventure.
Right. That was all part of the experience. And so that, like I said, we took the very scenic route to get out there. But we made it. We made it safely. We got there in time.
And we made it on time.
We got there early. We were able to actually stop and get coffee and grab a little bite to eat before we went to church service. So
nobody was hangry.
Right. Nobody was hangry. And so it was safe. But if we're going to tell the story, we're going to tell the whole story. We're going to tell the whole thing.
That's one thing people say about us, Sheree. They say, listen, one of the reasons that they tune in is because we ain't going to give them the fluff without giving them all of the whole story. So I appreciate you, baby. I thank you so much for
helping me.
You understand me?
Help me.
Listen, you had to help me help you. That's what she did for me, y'all. And so I just appreciate you, babe. I absolutely do.
You're welcome. So another thing, so after church service, we mingled, we talked to people, and then we decided to go and eat. And so this was kind of it was a disheartening moment in one sense, but it was also an exciting moment. As I said before, Ernesto is from Colón, but there are certain areas in Colón that he's never visited before, which are some of the more touristy, some of the more developed areas, the built-up areas. And so we actually went to an area that's not far from the free trade zone, which is the cruise port, which is Colón 2000. There's an old section, but then there's a new section of it, and we actually took them there to one of our favorite restaurants that we go to when we go visit there. And it was kind of like a kid in a toy store, because you could see on his face like, oh my gosh, like he had never seen this part of Colón before. And so it was great to be able to expose him to that. But at the same time, it was disheartening, because it's like, you're from here and you've never seen this. You're in the other part of the city, and you haven't been able to be exposed to this. And it was reminiscent for me. My dad grew up in Norfolk, Virginia. Back when that whole area was Norfolk, wasn't Norfolk, it was Norfolk. And when we moved back there after he retired, there were certain areas we would take him sometimes to go. We would go to a restaurant, or we were just out and about. He would share, I've never been over here. We weren't allowed in this part of town when I grew up here. And it was disheartening, because it's like, what do you mean you weren't allowed here? We just down the street. We're not that far. But it just reminds you of how far things have come, how far things have changed. And, one thing that has always been disheartening for me, especially in the inner city, you often have people that just stay in their area. They don't get exposed to other areas. And so it was really a blessing to be able to, get him a little outside of where he normally goes and expose him to that. And so we went to our favorite restaurant at Colón 2000, and our guy came and serenaded us.
So there is a brother over there. I don't know his name, and you will see him all over Panama. Colón, you will see him at the airport. You will see him at Casco Viejo. You may even see him in YouTubers' videos as they're doing YouTube. He's a Panamanian. He plays a banjo. And he has a Panama Jack hat on, and he's forever making up songs on this boy freestyles who you are. And we'll put up some videos. If you guys don't follow us on Instagram, please do that. I'll probably put together a Colón in retrospect video and throw it up here on YouTube next week, maybe. But it was just such a pleasure, because at this particular point, what you get a chance to do is see the authenticity of Colón. And I want to go back to that. This place really showed us, signs of what could be. And I just want to share that really quickly, you guys. As you guys come through and you share and you see, I want to challenge you to get outside of your comfort zone, right? Since living here, Cherie and I have probably had more than 200 people that we know of that have come to visit Panama since we've been here. And many of them we know personally, friends, family, people that we were in relationships in distant ways. And when they find out we live here, it's, now all of a sudden I'm getting these DMs and all the things. And what's always wild to me is is what people don't know, right? And obviously you don't know what you don't know, but I want to encourage you to go beyond the surface, right? To figure out ways to ingratiate yourself to the local economy and to connect to the local people, because truly that's where the vibe is. And I believe for me, that's where the experience was. When we left that day, the whole way home, we was whooped. We was tired. We was exhausted. We had been over there really early for church service. We had eaten. We had done all the things. But when we came back, it was a sense of connection. And I can't wait to go back, because now I got more of a reason than anything touristy driven. Mm-hmm. I plan on, and just so that you guys know, the We All Need Some Help Foundation is a community. It's a group that we run. And the whole express purpose is to help people around the globe grow in their faith help them understand and connect with the hands and feet of Jesus, but not just from a spiritual head knowledge standpoint, but from a very practical standpoint. What would it look like for us to connect with this church and adopt some of the things that they're trying to do and figure out a way, how do we create support, whether that is resources, whether that is finances, whether that is people coming to bring their gift and say, hey, here's some of the things. I see us building that kind of opportunity, and we want to encourage you guys to come be a part of all of what we're doing. We found a place to be incredibly safe, and again, that's our experience. I can tell you, I grew up in South Baltimore. I was born in South Baltimore. I grew up in Anne Arundel County, outside of South Baltimore. Cherie was born in Southeast DC, and although she was raised pretty much in the suburbs of that, what we know is there are places right now in Baltimore where I feel much more unsafe.
Yes.
Being from there and speaking the language than I do in any place here in Panama or Panama City or Colón or these other things. Does stuff happen? Absolutely it does. But here's the thing that's a little bit different. Unlike major cities around the world, I don't find that trouble comes looking for you.
Right.
It is a opportunity type thing that's going down, but ain't nobody targeting folks. Oh, that's a tourist, let's jump them. That ain't happening. And these people just absolutely loved us between our toes, and I can't wait to go back and visit.
Right, and I just want to encourage you guys, if you are here in Panama or if you're planning on visiting Panama, please try to plan a trip out to Colón. Go visit Colón. Now, when you go, you want to go with a guide. I wouldn't advise, especially if you're not from here, you going out there by yourself, because you're not going to know where to go and all of that. It's not so much for safety, it's just for directions, to know where you're going. And also, you're going to want to have a translator with you when you go out there so that you can understand the language. And unfortunately, I will say this, many of the major tour operators here in Panama do not do tours to Colón.
Right.
So you may have to do a little research. Now, you guys hear us talk about our guy Omar all the time. He does do tours to Colón, and he can connect you with somebody that does tours to Colón if he's not available. So we do know some people that do it, but a lot of the major tour operators do not do tours to Colón.
And it's funny that you said that, Cherie, because one thing I want to interject is that, and as a result of that, I appreciate that, Brady. As a result of that, you know what happens? It leaves people to their own devices. Yes. Now you find people catching a bus, catching a cab, catching an Uber to Colón on their own. And just like anything else, when you are in a foreign place, foreign city, foreign country, whatever, you don't speak the language. More importantly, you don't understand the culture. You're going to stick out, and you might run into something that you wasn't really planning on running into. But I promise you, I absolutely love it. Brady said that he actually went there with Omar. Brady, if you can chime in, brother, what was your experience like? Because that's why we do these lives. You guys can check out the descriptions, the links in the descriptions within our channel. By the way, we haven't invited you. If you have not joined the channel, please join the channel. Subscribe, like, share it. Also, if you're not a part of our day one community where we have these kinds of private conversations with people, there's a level in there where you can actually have conversations back and forth with us through WhatsApp, and we certainly want to make your experience the best.
Right, and all those links will be posted. It'll be updated in the description after the conclusion of this live video. But yeah, I just want to encourage you guys once again, visit Colón. Go with a guide. Go with somebody that knows where they're going so that you can get a full experience, so that you can feel safe. For those of you that may not feel safe. But it's like anywhere else. You don't want to just go and be plopped down in the middle of somewhere that you are unfamiliar with, because you're going to be walking around looking like you're lost. And that is going to draw attention. And so that's why you want to go with the guide. And drawing that attention, the thing here in Panama is that most of the crime is crimes of opportunity. Like you'll get pickpocketed, things like that. So if you're walking down the hood looking lost,
right,
you're making yourself a target. But if you're there with a guide, somebody that knows the area, yes, you'll still be looking around because you're observing and you're taking stuff in, but you're not going to look lost. And also you're with somebody that is from there or that's familiar with the area, so nobody's going to bother you.
Right.
And so just be smart whenever whether it's here in Panama, in Colón, or anywhere, when you travel, be smart. Don't just jump out there and I'm going to just go by myself. That's not always the wisest thing to do. You can be adventurous, but be smart in your adventure.
Yeah, no worries. Being Maryland, Gail, no worries. The replays will definitely be posted. I appreciate you popping in. But we're just talking about our experience, an unexpected one to Colón. And you got to understand, in the 2 years that we've been here, we've probably been to Colón at least a half a dozen times. And we never experienced this. I will say this last thing. You want to get some good food, some good Panamanian food, Colón is the place. And I promise you, listen, we left up out of there fat and full. You understand me?
Right. And we're actually going to be going back to Colón with one of our dear friends who's another YouTuber. You guys may know Aisha, named from Abroadability. She's also of Panamanian descent. Her grandmother, I think it was her grandmother, is from Panama, but she travels out there quite frequently. We're going to be going out there with her and going to go get some real local Panamanian food pretty soon. So guys, be on the lookout for that video. We're going to talk about the culture of Panama, her descent, her discovery of her descent here in Panama, and a couple of other things. And so just stay tuned to that, because we will be visiting Colón quite a few more times to just learn more and more about Colón, the area, the people, and embracing that area.
Well, guys, let me say this again. If you have not subscribed to the channel, we want to encourage you to do that. We'll be back again next week, I'm sure, with some kind of episode. Real quick, let me post this while we got him here. Brady said that he is from Flint, Michigan, and his wife is from East St. Louis. And we understand what poverty and struggle are like, yes, but we don't judge. And we were there to see, learn, and get familiar with life in Panama. Shout out to you, bro. Shout out to you. Shout out to you. And Brady, one of the things that I realized being, from South Baltimore, being, Sharia is from Southeast DC, y'all, poverty is everywhere. Right. And wherever you have poverty, you have crime, you have all kinds of things that come with that. And what we want to do, Sharia and I, is be a part of the solution any kind of place in any space we can. And that starts with not judging. That starts with leaning into. That starts with understanding. And when you understand the climate, that we have to come and do a video all by itself on, well, why is it that way? You know what I mean? At some point. But when you understand the background of stuff, trust me, you understand. And I'm gonna promise you, if you grew up black in America, you get it. And we ain't got to do no whole bunch of, it's just different levels, it's different variations. And the good news is that, especially in a place like this, it is so refreshing to see people that look like you. They don't speak the language, but I promise you, you can't go to Colón. Cherie. It's like Pookie coming up. Look. Y'all remember Poetic Justice?
Right. Everywhere you look.
Look, cousin. You get you a plate, the whole 9 yards. Guys, let me say this. We're going to get out of here. I appreciate you guys for popping in. At the end of the day, here's what I can absolutely promise you, that you cannot get to any place of significance by yourself. Because we all need some help. Y'all be good, and we'll look forward to catching up with you guys next week.
Bye, guys.
Bye.